let us continue with the topic. We have discussed about the exact statements of code of ethics. Now those are very important for your examination. Every year there will be one question on that statements. Now in this video we will discuss about the accountability in public life regarding engineers and the organizations which act on this accountability and what are the laws regarding this, right, when you are not accountable. Now before going that, I will write a schematic representation which helps you to know the entire topic in single image, right. Now see here, when an individual is trained in that respective knowledge, so we are speaking regarding engineering profession, so this training will be regarding that engineering profession, right. Now he becomes an engineer, right. Now see here, upon training, this individual will become an engineer. Now this engineer will be part of an organization. Now see here, will be part of an organization. Now this organization will function in an economic system. Function in an economic system. Now this economic system is controlled by government. See here, I'm writing on the crux points only. This economic system is controlled by government. Right, by function in an economic system. Now this government will be influenced by society, right, and also vice versa, government will influence the society and society will also influence the government. So I'll write in a reversible manner, right, influence each other. Now observe here, this individual will help to the society, or if he is unethical will create harm to the society. So also the society is also responsible for this individual behavior. So automatically individual and society will act in an reversible manner, right. Now their actions will affect both the society and the individual effect. Now this is what you learned till now, right. Now see here, each and every arrow mark represents the functioning of an organization or a person or a society. Now in government and society we have dealt about governance, smart governance and good governance, and you have discussed about the ethics, how an engineer have to behave with the organization and also towards the society, right. Now see here, there must be, now every individual might not be ethical, right. Some will be ethical when there is an surveillance on them or the surveillance on the organizations. Now before going to this surveillance of organizations, let us see the principles of an engineer in the public life. Now see here, there are 7 principles. Now the 7 principles were given by Nolan Committee. Right. Now what this Nolan Committee says that, now they have developed a 7 principles. Now this is popular also in India, and see here, government of India is following the 7 principles of public life right? Now what are those 7 principles of public life? I'll write the crux down point here. Some points already we have discussed in detail. Right, now the first principle is selflessness. Right, now what do you speak about this selflessness? A public servant or an engineer, we speak it as engineer, right, should be given more importance to the public interest rather than the personal interest. Right, now in case of conflict means a situation where you cannot move forward or back forward between public and personal interest, your preference must be given to public interest. Right, now this is what selflessness. Now see here, more importance to public interest rather than personal interest. So write like this. This is nothing but your selflessness. Now the second principle we have discussed in detail, which is nothing but honesty. Right, honesty, that is what we have discussed in code of ethics also. Now this public servant has to disclose all his private gains arising out of public post that he or she is carrying. Right, he must not obey first, and he must disclose all the things happening in private when he is in a public post. Right, now the third principle is integrity. Right, now in the first video itself I have discussed each and every definition. Right, you go through that video perfectly, then you can gel with these topics very easily. Now see here, a public servant must not take any financial benefit from any outsiders, right, which will become an obligation for him to do that work. Am I right or wrong? So he has to be very honest and integrity in his work. Now the next one is accountability. Next one is accountability. Now what is this accountability? Right, now see here, he must always be, I mean the person in this public post must always be under the public scrutiny. Right, for all his actions he must divulge all the matters regarding the profession happening there. This is what accountability. And the next one is openness. Right, openness. Now see here, a public servant should be as open as possible, right, regarding your national security, right, and also with international relationships. Right, he must be as transparent as possible. Now observe here, what is the difference between openness and transparency? Right, now see here, transparency is a mechanism. I'll write down the things here. Transparency is a mechanism, but openness is a process. Now again, what is mechanism and what is process? Right, now see here, this process means nothing but you have to start it somewhere and you have to end it somewhere. Am I right? That is called complete process. Am I right or wrong? So a process contains start and end point. Now what about mechanism then? Right, now see here, this in process there will be a mechanism. Right, now that is called, now openness includes transparency, but transparency doesn't include openness. right? So how this process happens now, how a sulfuric acid is formed. The mechanism is H2 plus SO4 will react with H2SO4, will react and form H2SO4, and there will be a catalyst for sulfuric acid formation, platinum. Now this is the mechanism happening there, right? That you have to follow. Next one, objectivity. Next one is objectivity. Right, now see here, what is this objectivity? Now a public servant, while awarding a contract or doing a recruitment, now he should consider only merit. Now that is called objectivity, right? He has to think about the substance in the person, not about the monetary benefits. Now the last principle is, I'll write down here, leadership. Right? Now what do you speak about this leadership? A public servant must always lead in front, and he should be a role model. He should be an example for others, right? Done. Now these are the 7 principles of public life. Now the next concept what we will deal is, see here, what is the problems in enforcing the accountability. Now how a person must act in an utmost honesty, utmost integrity, and utmost accountable manner, all these comes under the things, right? Now see here, there will be different kinds of persons, and one set of persons will act solely on their attitude, on their behavior in order to be ethical, and some set of persons will act according to the rules. And these persons, when there are no rules, automatically they behave in an own manner, right? Now how to make these persons accountable and what are the problems in this, that you have to know, right? Now see here, first let us discuss the problems in accountability, and then we will discuss about the how to fight this accountability in India. Now we will all speak according to the India only, right? Now the concept what we will deal is problems in enforcing accountability in India. Right, now what are the problems? The first very important one is, now this is your previous question, Article 311. Article 311. Now what is this Article 311? Now see here, this article makes the removal of public servant very difficult. Why? It makes very difficult to the state to enforce the accountability in public service. Now see here, this Article 311 is a shield to public servant, right? Now this makes very tough for the removal, right? Why? Because see here, the judiciary process and the norms taken under Article 311 were very lengthy and longevity process, and the end result might take very long. So this is very important, Article 311. Now the next problem is excessive fragmentation in a department. Excessive fragmentation in a department. Right. Now what is this excessive fragmentation? Now see here, due to existence of various departments, now it makes more difficult for the coordination, and also it makes more difficult to make all the people accountable. Am I right or wrong? Now see, for example, we'll take transportation. Now see here, how many ministries are there for transportation? There is a ministry for road, there is a ministry for railways, there is a ministry for airways, seaways, and all these things. Am I right or wrong? Now see here, transportation sector in India. Now you have each set of rules for separate one. For road separate, for seaways separate, for airways, and also right, your surface movement, your railways is separate. Now see here, how can you make coordination among them? Now coordination is the Herculean task. Coordination is an Herculean task when excessive fragmentation happens. Right? Now see here, and it makes complex. Now if there are separate set of rules for each and every department regarding only in transportation sector, now how can you coordinate the things? Right? Now this is one more very important problem happening. The next one, this is a sensitive case. Specialized nature of public service. What is this specialized nature of public service? Right. Now focus on the things. Now see here, as I said earlier, the nature of duties performing by a public servant is complex. And see here, and the technicalities that cannot be easily understood by the outsiders. Am I right or wrong? Now, for example, simple example, if you go for a road transport organization, can you understand the process that in an simplified manner? No, you cannot understand. That's what the intricate, complex network in this public service makes people to unaccountable. Right? Automatically, what you do, you want to pay something and leave the matter there. Then that makes people to unaccountable. Am I right or wrong? Right? So the nature of duties performing by public service must be in a streamlined manner and in a simplified manner. Right? Now, and again, one more important point, monopoly. And one more term, autonomy. Now these two things will be enjoyed in a public service, right? You cannot order them. I mean, the powers are with them. Now, it makes more problem for enforcing accountability. And the next very important one is massive bureaucracy. Now see here, already we have discussed this. Excessive fragmentation in a department make this public service very complex, and automatically we having various departments and having various heads. Now automatically your hierarchical order, your bureaucracy will be a factor in that department. Right? Now this massive structure of bureaucracy making difficult to state to make accountable for their actions. Right? Various heads and autonomy of their heads. Head means the chairman of the organization. Now many bureaucrats and lack of coordination between them, and also the monopolistic behavior between them makes these organizations to work perfectly. Right? Now the next very important one what we will discuss in this enforcing accountability is corruption. Now all these four factors what we have dealt lead to this. Am I right or wrong? Corruption. Now see here, there is no such term to define this corruption. It might be in many ways, right? Now see here, how can you say this you are corrupted, or otherwise how can you say that a service is not done in a perfect manner? Right? Now as I said earlier, it is very difficult to say that. Sometimes you may act for your positive things happening, sometimes they may act to extract the benefits from you. There will be in a vice versa manner, right? Now see here, the one term that I can guaranteedly say about this corruption is wealth generation automatically to increase your wealth. Now this one point leads to corruption. Am I right or wrong? Yes. Now what are the types of corruptions? Then you can understand the things. Let us make this complex thing simplified and then we will discuss the things. Now there are two types of corruption. One is coercive corruption and one is collective corruption. Now you can get a clarity of this definition clearly. Coercive corruption and collective corruption. Now what is this coercive corruption? In this coercive corruption, now bribe taker takes bribe from bribe giver in a forcible manner, right? Now see here, now I'll write down things in easy way. Bribe taker is nothing but your professional engineer or a public servant, right? Now he takes bribe in a forcible manner from bribe giver. Right? Now this bribe giver might not be in a position to give the bribe. Now this type of corruption is called coercive corruption, right? Now what is collective corruption? Now in this, bribe taker and bribe giver act in collusion, right? And they create loss to the exchequer, to the department, to the state, right? Now you can get the clarity regarding this, how the wealth is generated. Bribe taker, bribe giver. Now they act in collective manner and they both, because both will be benefited here. Likewise your mutualism in ecology, right? You can connect this concept there. Now both will create loss to exchequer. Exchequer means your treasury. Now the term exchequer came from first Royal Bank of England's chest treasury is known as exchequer. Done. Now see here, now we have discussed the problems in enforcing the accountability. Now what are the mechanisms to fight this accountability or corruption? Right, now I'll write this. Mechanism to fight mechanism to fight corruption or your accountability in India. Now what are the things that you have? Now first one, your legislative framework, your judicial framework, right? Now Indian government of India have made an act called Prevention of Corruption Act. Now this was enacted in 1988. Prevention of Corruption Act 1988. Now see here, this is the only legislative framework to control or minimize the cases of corruption or the breach of accountability, right? And again, this Prevention of Corruption Act doesn't give any clear definition regarding corruption. All the cases related to the honesty, integrity of public servant is being dealt in this Prevention of Corrupt Act, right? All the cases related to integrity of a public servant are dealt in this act, right? Now what are the institutions that look after this corruption activities or unethical practices or unaccountable practices, right? Now there is a three-tier institutional framework. There is a three-tier institutional framework. Now the first one is CVC, Central Vigilance Commission, right? Central Vigilance Commission. Now it is the apex body responsible for dealing of corruption done by permanent executives, right? Now see here, it deals with the corruption done by permanent executives of a company or an organization. Now see here, this Central Vigilance Commission cannot initiate a legal action on a political executive. Now observe the difference between them. These will be the questions asked in the examination. Right. Now the next one, the second framework what you see is Chief Vigilance Officer, CVO. Now each department and each ministry have this Chief Vigilance Commission and officer for supervising the cases of corruption. Now see here, this CVO will act as an intermediary between the head of the department of that ministry and Central Vigilance Commission. Right. Now this CVO will send its recommendation upon taking the points from HOD, and then this was sent to CVC for the recommendation of acceptance or rejectal, that you can understand it clearly. Right. Now the third tier of framework, let us discuss in the next slide, which is nothing but CBI, Central Bureau of Investigation. Central Bureau of Investigation. Now see here, this Central Bureau of Investigation is under Delhi Special Police Establishment Act. Now this was asked once in the examination, right? Focus on this, right? Not likewise your police department. CBI derives its power from Delhi Special Police Establishment Act, which was done in 1948. Now I'm writing down the point here, 1948. Now the CBI has three wings. One is anti-corruption branch. And the second one is anti-economic corruption wing, and special anti-crime branch. Special anti-crime wing or branch. Now what this anti-corruption branch looks after? Now all the cases regarding the money comes in it, right? Now all the monetary benefits comes under this anti-corruption branch, right? Now see here. Now this economic corruption wing looks upon the cases of high value in generally more than 100 crores. Now this special anti-crime branch deals with all cases other than the cases of corruption. Now whatever the things the upper two wings will not look upon, this will be taken up by special anti-crime branch. Right. Now see here one more very important point. This CBI can start the proceedings of a case even for a political executive, but after taking the approval of Home Ministry, right? Now the CBI can take any legal action on political executive, but CVC doesn't have, right? Political executive, but by taking the nod from Home Ministry. Right? Focus on the things. Next, one more very important mechanism. Now we have seen the accountability principles. Now and also when we are not accountable, what are the rules that will be taken place. Now the next one, delivery mechanism, how a public delivery mechanism based upon. Now this public delivery mechanism is based upon 6 factors. Right, now which can be remembered as Rater E, RATER plus E. Now this is a 6 factor mechanism. Now what is the first one? Rater, reliability, the first factor. Now reliability means you must be very consistent in delivering your work duty, then that you will become reliable, right? Now the next one is assurance. Assurance means you must give confidence for the society that you can do the public service. The third one is tangible. Now what is this tangible? This is nothing but your physical validation of the services. You have to define the parameters. Now empathy, we have discussed this in detail regarding this in first chapter itself. Look upon this, creating public grievance redressal mechanism, right? You have to console them. Next one is responsiveness. Responsiveness, you have to timely deliver your service, right? The sixth one is effectiveness. Effectiveness means you have to clear the things in optimized time method, right? Unless until the delivery mechanisms will not work perfectly. Done. Now see here, this is one more very important topic. Focus on this. Thank you.